All right, you guys, welcome. So welcome to part 2 of charting and projected volume. So I did a previous video strictly going over Ruby and kind of the new volume minimum that is now required for promoting that was just implemented here in 2019. And so there is actually an extra simp. Once you go Emerald, you have 2 of your own promoting legs. You have 2 Ruby legs. So there's just kind of like an extra little bit of information you need to calculate to help you make sure that volume is going into the right places. For a Ruby, you just had the 3 people on your top line, and they had to be at least 400 club, and then you had to hit that minimum volume of the 2000 GV, and it could go from anywhere as long as those 3 boxes were 400. I did do an example worksheet of like 6 different possibilities where volume could be coming from as a Ruby, and so that I didn't put that in the video, but it is like a separate like document that I made. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need a little extra help with that, ask somebody for it. It is in some of our team pages. So right now I'm just going to walk you through doing projected volume and charting for an emerald chart and a diamond chart. We're going to use the same names that I did in the last video, but just pretend it's a completely different person. There's going to be different numbers here. So let's go ahead and get started. So step 1, like in the Ruby, you're going to write your distributors' names in their boxes. So we have, great start. All right, Caitlin, in this Ruby leg, we have a Heather, we have an Allie, and please feel free to follow along and do this with me, okay? Or pause the video, be like, okay, she said step 1, write distributor names in boxes. Now, obviously, you didn't know what names I was going to pick, so you kind of need to know this. So after step 2, you'll be able to pause the video and kind of like work ahead and see if you get the same number I do. I do have each of these pages saved as an image so you can print them and follow along. So we have Caitlin, Haley, and Kristen in this Ruby leg. Now we are actually missing a distributor, so I just put an X there for now. And then a Heather for the other Ruby leg with Tiffany, Cassie, and Corey Beth. And then Allie's one of the qualified legs. And we do have Sarah over here. She just joined. She doesn't have as much volume as everybody else. So I don't need her on my chart. Like I can't bump Sarah down over here to fill that spot. That's not how it works. You have to stay in line when it comes to promoting and using these charts. But her volume does count towards this minimum that we're going to go over. And it is important to know that. Okay, so step 1, write their names in the boxes. Good, we're good to go. Step 2, we're going to add up the individual projected volume for each distributor, and we're going to calculate your total. So let's just pretend in the Ruby video, I showed you like, okay, well, I had an auto shipment running and it was 80, and these are how many customers I had. And this is what they were ordering. So let's add all that up. So I showed you how like I got these totals. I'm just going to give them to you. You're going to go into eSuite. You're going to click reports, then tree viewer. You're going to click the show LC loyal customer box, so your loyal customers pop up in that tree on the side there, and you're going to click on your name, and you're going to see if you have any auto shipments running for this month, and then you're going to click on each individual customer, and you're going to see how much BV their order is for the month, or if they even have an order. So if they've like completed their 3 months and they don't want to do an auto shipment anymore, you still might have customers who are continuing to order and others who canceled, so you still need to click on each individual name and see if they still have an order running, or check to see if they placed a personal order and it's in the order history. Any order that has a date for the month that you're doing volume for, you can count that towards your total. And so when I add everything up, I actually had 300. So even though I have an auto shipment running, I still need to know like the total volume amount to make this easy. So what we're doing, you guys, we're just going to be adding and subtracting. I'm basically just showing you how to do charts as simple as possible and explaining it in a way that everybody is going to understand. And so when I go in eSuite, I add up all of Caitlin's stuff. She's going to have 200. Heather's got 75. Allie has 560. Sarah had 60. Kristen had exactly 400. Haley had 150. We know that there's no distributor right here, so there's no volume there. Tiffany was at 450. Cassie's projected at 50 and Corey was projected at 100. And so when you add up all of these numbers I wrote, including the 300 for myself, your total projected volume is 2345. So I like to know that number, okay? We need to write it down. So we did individual for everybody and then your total projected, okay? So right here, the next step that I give you, you guys have all the information you need to figure out exactly what you need to go Emerald. So I want you to pause the video after I move on to the next slide and do the step that is listed there and see if by the end of me finishing it, if we match up. So step 3, you're gonna write what each box needs to be completed. So I'm gonna look here. I like to highlight people first, people who are done. I know that promotion boxes just have to be commission qualified. And so I need either 150 in sales or an 80 BB auto shipment. I technically have both, so I'm highlighted, I'm good to go. Now this ruby leg that Caitlin is in, she has 200 and she only needs 150 to be completed. Heather needs 150, she's only got 75, she is not completed. Qualified legs need 400 in group volume. Allie has 560, so she's good. Tiffany is good, and Kristen is good. Just good. So like, pray to God she doesn't have any orders cancel or credit card declines or orders changed or anything. But as of right now, at the beginning of the month, if orders stay as is, they are in the system, she's projected to have 400 and she'll be good. So then I like to write in red what these boxes need. So I know that Heather still needs an extra 75 before her box can be complete. Corey needs 300. Cassie needs 350. Haley needs 250. And even though there isn't somebody over here, I know they need 400 to be completed, okay? So this was it for step 3, figuring out what the boxes need to be completed and where it needs to go. So step 4, feel free to pause again. So you are going to take the minimum GV that is required for the rank. So it's going to be listed right here. For Emerald, you need 5,000. You're going to subtract your total volume we projected. So it was all those green numbers in your own volume that we added up. So over here, we have the 5,000 minus, we're going to minus the 2345. And this is going to give us 2655 in GV away from completing that 5,000 minimum required to promote to Emerald, okay? So this is what we did with the Ruby chart, and like that's cool. So based on looking at this, I'm 1 distributor and 2655 in volume away from promoting to Emerald. But once you go Emerald and above, you do have your own promotion legs in theirself. So in order for Caitlin to go Ruby, she needs that 2,000 minimum. So here's the extra step that I was talking about, and we're going to move on to the next slide. So you're going to do step 4 again, but for each individual promotion leg. So for Caitlin, we know as a Ruby, you need 2,000. When you add up her own individual numbers, so the 200, the 400, and the 150, there's no volume here. When you add all that up, Caitlin is sitting at 750 that she's projected to have, right? So we added all those green numbers up. So we're going to subtract this, you guys. So Caitlin is 1250 GV away from completing Ruby and hitting that minimum. And then Heather is also a Ruby leg. We know that she needs 2,000. When you add up her 75, 450, 50, and 100, that's everybody in her leg, she is going to have 675 projected. Okay. So when we subtract that from what is required, she is still 1325 GV away from Ruby. So you have to have the breakdown. You have to know, like, okay, this is what they need. Now, let me show you and explain to you in step 6 a breakdown of the distribution of volume. Okay, so we know that overall you need this 2655 to go Emerald, and you have to make sure that an extra the 1250 goes in Caitlin's leg for her to meet her 2,000 requirement, and that Heather needs 1325 to hit her 2000 requirement. So let me show you this breakdown that I'm talking about, okay? So we know that you need 2655, right? This is you. We know that 1250 of that needs to go in Caitlin's leg. And that 1325 needs to go in Heather's leg. Now, Allie was good. So if Allie wasn't good, I would have her listed up here too. But when you guys do the math, you do 2655 minus 1250 minus 1325. You still have an extra 80 in volume that is not accounted for. That can go anywhere on your chart. That volume can go anywhere. Caitlin's, all of her boxes were going to be good. Heather was going to be good at hitting her minimum requirements. That means you have 80 that, like, if you have your mom signed up as a loyal customer and you tell her, hey mom, I'm only 80 in group volume away from promoting, like, would you place a personal order? And your mom places a personal order for 80 directly under you, that counts. So that extra bit of volume can come from anywhere. So now when you look at the promotion leg, so we know, like I said, Caitlin needs 1250, right? So let me show you you don't have to do this part. You can if you want to. I like to know that I need an extra 80 anywhere. 1250, Caitlin needs to complete Ruby. I know that 400 of it, okay, is in this box that's empty. I know she needs 250 and Haley minimum, right, to complete that box. So that 1250 minus the 400 minus the 250 leaves me an extra 600 in group volume that I can place anywhere under Caitlin on her chart. As long as this box gets 400, as long as Haley gets that extra 250 to hit 400 club, I can place the rest of that 600 in volume under Caitlin anywhere to complete her chart, okay? So we're gonna do the same thing for Heather, just so you can see the breakdown. Heather is 1325 away, right? And I know that she herself is not done. So I know 75 of that volume needs to go under herself so we can complete her box, okay? I know that Cassie needs 350 of that. None of that 1325, Corey Beth needs 300 of it. So when you do the 1325 and you subtract everything that's there, there is still 600 in group volume that can go anywhere under Heather. Okay, even if there's an extra distributor over here and I want to place 600 in volume over there, even though that person's not needed for Heather's chart, everybody else was good and check marked, I can put that volume anywhere and I can put it all in that one person, or maybe that person just gets there on their own. That counts. That will get them to the minimum. So I wanted to show that volume breakdown. And what we just did, we're going to do with the diamond chart. We're going to use the same numbers. So if you're trying to go emerald, so as you can see, this person, this is the completed chart, you guys. This person, in order to go emerald, is one distributor and 2655 GV away from promoting. And based off the simple math that we just did, I know that 1250 of it has to go in Caitlin's leg. I know that 1325 of it needs to go in Heather's leg, and then I have an extra 80 in GB that I can place anywhere to help me complete that minimum requirement of the 5,000 for emerald, okay? So this person's very close to promoting to emerald, and say they do fill this box that's like great, perfect. You can use the same people, same numbers to tell you how far away you are from diamond too. So I'm just going to use this as an example, you guys. So same people. So, okay, I know that Caitlin, we decided to put Caitlin in the emerald leg. We have Haley over here. We have Kristen over here. We still hadn't signed anybody, okay? And I like to put numbers where I'm going to place people. So my next distributor that I want to place is going to go here. The next person I sign is going to go under here. Maybe Kristen signs her own, etc. So I like to write numbers to tell me the order in which I'm going to place my distributors, and just it goes with my game plan. That's for a different video, but just for these purposes, this is just how I do charting, and I'm just going to show you that. We're going to put Allie here. And then we had Heather. Don't forget about Sarah hanging out over here. Her volume counts too. And then we had Tiffany, Cassie, and Corey Beth. Okay, so we wrote down everybody's names, right? And now, step 2 was writing down the projected volume for each individual person. Those numbers are going to stay the same because it's still the same month. We haven't changed orders yet. So I'm just trying to figure out how far away I am. So we said Caitlin had 200, Haley had 150, Kristen had 400. I forgot that. Put a line there. This person has 0, 0, 0. There are no distributors here yet, so they are contributing 0 volume to this chart. Allie had 560, Heather had 75, Sarah had 60, Tiffany had, looking at my cheat sheet, you guys, 450. I did not want to waste time doing math for y'all. I'm very good at math. Like I had calculus in high school my senior year, and I had another year of calculus in college. I can do all kinds of math with a calculator and on paper. I cannot do it in my head. So whatever. Okay, so we've added up, right? Everybody's individual volumes, and we had already said that our projected was 2345. So like none of that changed, okay? All right, and then that next step that we took was writing down what everybody needed to be complete. So I went through and I highlighted everybody that was good. So promotion boxes just needed to be 150 in sales or an 80 BV auto shipment. Qualified legs needed at least 400. So all these people are good. Kristen is good. Now I know on the last chart that Haley was not highlighted because we needed her as a 400 box, but on the diamond chart where I want to put her, she only needs 150. And so she actually gets highlighted on this chart, which is pretty cool. So if she signs a distributor before I go Emerald and she's not 400 club yet, I'm going to place my volume with her distributor because any volume placed with her distributor helps boost her group volume. And I'm maximizing my volume, right? It would be silly of me to place it directly with her because she's already at 150, which she's good for my next chart. So anything that I place with that distributor underneath her helps both my Emerald and my Diamond at the same time, and I'm maximizing my volume. So anyway, she's highlighted on this chart. Then I'm going to go through and write everybody that isn't. So we know nobody's over here. So obviously they are 400 away. It's really annoying to see those, but you need it. We know that Heather is 75 away from 150. Cassie needs 350 and Corey needs 300. So we went through, we wrote down our distributor names, which same names from the other sheet, and just putting them in the appropriate spots, calculating up their projected volume individually and like your total, which should still be the same from the Emerald, and then writing what everybody needs to be completed, a completed box. So we did all that just on the same piece of paper. That's just kind of your basic math, what we did on the old charts. So it's very similar. So here comes your extra step, right? So what we're going to do now, we're going to take this minimum GB right here, and we're going to subtract our total projected volume, which we had listed right here. And this is going to tell us how far away we are from hitting this minimum. And we are 5655 GB away. So this person is 7 distributors and 5655 in volume away from Diamond. But when we're placing this volume, we kind of need to know where it's going to go. So we're going to do the same step, but for the individual promotion legs. Like we did for the Emerald, we did it for the 2 rubies. Now we have an Emerald plus 2 rubies plus that extra ruby. So Heather actually, her numbers don't change because she was a ruby leg for my Emerald chart, and she's going to be a ruby leg still for my Diamond. So like I said, we know that she needed 2,000 to go ruby. And when we added up all of her volume, she had 675, which puts her 1325 away from completing her ruby. Allie is good. Now an emerald, we know, needs the 5,000, okay? And Caitlin's projected volume, like the 200, 150, and 400 added up together, was 750, okay? So Caitlin is actually 4250 in GV away from completing her emerald. So there are 2 promotion boxes underneath here. So what we're going to do, rubies need 2,000, right? We gotta write what's their projected. So Haley only has 150 in her leg because she doesn't have any other teammates yet, so she's working with her own volume. So Haley is 3 distributors and 1850 GV away from Ruby. And even though Kristen still doesn't have any either, she's got a little bit more volume than Haley. She's working with 400 total. So she is actually 1,600. So she is 3 distributors and 1,600 away from Ruby. So we did the breakdown of everybody individually, okay? So I do that for all the promotion legs. So now this is just the part for me to help you have a visual of the breakdown of the volume. It's going to be the same thing we went over as that last time, okay? So remember, I was 56.55 away. Of that, 4250 needs to go in Caitlin's leg. 1325 needs to go in Heather's leg. And I know that 4250 plus 1325 does not equal 5655, so there's an extra 80 in volume that can go anywhere. Just pretend that says anywhere, okay? So now I still like to break it down. Caitlin is 4250 away. Of that, 1850 needs to go to Haley, 1600 needs to go to Kristen, 400 of that needs to go, distributor number 1, that's in this box right here. And then when you do all of that, she still has an extra 400 in GV that can go anywhere. Then break it down for Haley. Of that 1850, we know distributor number 6 needs 400, distributor number 4 needs 400, distributor number 2 needs 400. So of those numbers together, Haley still has an extra 650 in GV that can go anywhere for her to help hit her 2,000 minimum. And then Kristen, we can figure out the same thing. She's got those 3 legs that need 400, and that leaves her with 400 GV extra that can go anywhere on her chart. And Heather's was the same as the last time. She's 1325 away. We know that 75 of that has to go to herself. 350 needs to go to Cassie. 300 is going to go to Corey Beth. She still has 600 in GV that can go anywhere on her chart, even if it's a 4th leg that isn't displayed on the current chart. Okay, so this is just showing you a breakdown. So we know that this person who's trying to go diamond is 7 distributors and 56.55 away in volume. Knowing that this is where the volume needs to go, the promotion legs in this chart have to hit their minimums as well. And so I just wanted to show you where that volume is going, where it's coming from, where it can go. So looking at this, I know, that I have 80 that can go anywhere after everybody is said and done and check marked and they have all their stuff in. So I hope this was helpful. Please, ask questions, reach out. If you have found an easier way to do it, let me know. I actually did this is the second time I've recorded this video, and the first time I did it, I did like an extra step that I basically like showed my work for everything, and I kind of went I did like an unnecessary step basically, but it did show the breakdown even more. But I realized that it seemed, there was a lot more numbers on the paper, seemed a little bit more complicated to explain than this way. So I want to shout out to Allie Wright, my double diamond, who she's like, I feel like my way is easier than what you're doing. Because I made her watch my video first, and I was like, so what are you doing? And she was like, well, this is what I'm doing instead. I was like, oh my God, that makes so much more sense. It's so much more simple. So don't overcomplicate this, you guys. Literally, I'm going to make like a practice worksheet with example numbers, and it'll have an answer sheet so you can practice doing the math. And just as soon as you get into the habit of this is step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, you're going to be able to just do it each and every month. And you know, the numbers are obviously going to change every time, but if you can just at least get in the habit of making sure you're putting the numbers in the right spot, you guys are going to promote. I'm super excited, super pumped. I love charting, I love numbers, so this is something I was excited about to try and figure out. So like I said, I had that extra step in there. So okay, I'm going to stop talking, but you know, good luck.